Can IRCC actually call you for interview in terms of your spousal sponsorship process? So we're going to unpack interviews for spousal sponsorship in this video. My name is Olena Weber. I'm regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and here today I have Cory Weber, also an RCAC. Okay, Cory. So the main question today is, can you tell me, can spousal sponsorship process have interview? And when does it happen and like how it even looks like?
Yeah. So the simple answer is just yes, they can call you for an interview. The question is what prompts them or what is the red
Yeah.
flag that will cause them to call you for that interview. And generally speaking, it's when they believe there or when they doubt the genuineness of the relationship. So there's something that has caught their eye. And it could be different things, right? We've always talked about like major that you haven't explained in the application or you haven't addressed, right? So huge differences in age, different backgrounds could be reasons for them. You know, the length of time that you maybe if you're married only one day and then you're applying the next day. So you know, or you met and then you got married like within the first week of, you know what I mean? Like you didn't have a very long relationship, for example. So these could kind of be like red flags for IRCC. And in those cases, you know, sometimes it's perfectly normal. Like, yeah, okay, we have different backgrounds. It should just then be addressed in your application. It should be explained that yes, we come from different backgrounds, but da 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 da. You know, we love each other's. We're learning about the different culture, et cetera, et cetera. So there's perfectly fine to have these differences in either age or background or shorter relationships as long as it's addressed, right? But if it's not, of course, IRCC and for these reasons or multiple other different reasons could of course request an interview of you at any time during the application process. So what normally takes place is you will just get an email like something has popped up in your account and it will be an interview request. So they'll give you like a date and time that you just need to show up. It can happen for outland applications, it can happen for inland applications. Happens for both of them. If it's an outland application, obviously that interview will happen in the country where the principal applicant is applying from. If it happens in Canada for an inland application, you'll be invited to an office within Canada. You'll have to show up there at a specific time and date. And then you need to be prepared for the interview, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So even though I think, interview is not something that is absolutely should freak you out or anything. We've had clients having interviews and like,
Mhm.
the approval will come and everything's fine. But at the same time, it is a, kind of stressful and concerning moment,
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
So tell me, Cory, how can you avoid having been called for interview?
Yeah, so you can avoid the interview process by just submitting, like I said, that application that there's no red flags, there's no questions, right? So, you know, when we talk about documents for spousal sponsorship, it's a huge application. It's a ton of documents and information that is required. You know, so many IMM forms, so much proof of the relationship documents, right? And it comes down to submitting enough and more than enough of the proof of specifically with this proof of relationship, right? The whole point of the spousal sponsorship application is to prove that you are in a true, genuine relationship, whether it be common law or marriage. You have to prove it's true, genuine relationship. And so the documentation that you provide on that is what proves it, right? So they do give you options for the spousal sponsorship. They say you can provide here's 4, 5, 6 different options, provide a minimum of two. So whenever possible, if you can provide 3 or 4 or 5, you know, you should do so and try to go above and beyond with the documentation so that there's less doubt. There's less doubt that could be called into question your genuineness of your relationship, right? Technically, if you provide one document here and one document there, you know, and you can cross those two things off the list, technically that fulfills the requirement and you can submit an application. But it's a very weak application. And then maybe that's when it comes into question. Okay, there's questions about the relationship here. They need more information. They want to know more. So that's when that could prompt that interview to come.
So right now we definitely do see more inland applications for spousal sponsorship. So can you tell me, so somebody who lives in Canada with their common law or a spouse married and they want to apply for spousal sponsorship, like what are the top documents in terms of proof of relationship that they need to present, if you can just list them?
Yeah, so let's start with like common law, right? The number one problem with common law is not proving that you've been in that relationship for that 1 year, which is the required time that you need to be in the common law relationship. So, you need to provide documents that prove you've been living at the same address for 1 year. You might have a lease agreement. You might have, bank statements or other bills that cover that entire year, right? It's not just enough to say, yeah, we are living together for 1 year. You need the documents to back it up, right? So that's one thing. For married couples, again, it's the same. It's just making sure you provide enough documentation that proves you're in that genuine relationship. And a lot of the documents, the shared expenses for the in Canada applicant and outland applicants, it should be one of the most influential and biggest document packages you put together would be your shared expenses, because that one really goes to prove that you're financially intertwined, right, as a couple. And whether it's common law or married, inland or outland, that I always put special emphasis on that application, that document package, because I want to see, like, months worth of your bank statements showing your gifts and your money sent to each other, and you're buying, if it's inland, you're buying groceries and you're paying bills together. It really goes to show that genuineness of the relationship. And some bank statements from the sponsor and some from the principal applicant, that really helps. And like all your receipts and your, if you're a married couple and you have your wedding receipts from your banquet hall or your whatever, all those kinds of good things should all be included. And that financial, like I said, that financial intertwined relationship is really helps to prove that you're genuine, right? Another big one would be the support letters, and people overlook the support letters.
I'm sorry about that. I was just going to ask you about support letters. And I know it's a very sensitive topic to you about support letters and ChatGPT.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. So people, it's great. ChatGPT is great for certain things, but when you're trying to explain, your relationship from a family member's point of view, like your parents, and you use ChatGPT, like number one, everybody knows when it is ChatGPT. I can tell, like in the first 5 seconds, that you've used ChatGPT. So obviously, IRCC can as well. And I mean, while there's no rule that says you shouldn't do ChatGPT, it just doesn't. It comes across as very ingenuine.
No,
Like it's
okay, let's start with the fact that the support letters from parents or family members like should be written by
by
parents
the
or
parent.
family members,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Of course. And so even when people say, well, it is from my parents, they use ChatGPT. Well, they shouldn't. So, you know, the point of it is none of your application should be done with ChatGPT. None of it. You should not have any kind of help from ChatGPT for the spousal sponsorship. For the support letters, it's supposed to be, again, like to prove the true genuineness of the relationship. So a letter, for example, from your parents telling how great you are as a couple and telling some nice stories about how they met you, and how great you are together with their child, and this good heartfelt stories, right? That's what it should be about, not just like ChatGPT spewing a bunch of words out on the page, right? So yeah, heartfelt letters that show the genuineness of the relationship. That is the end of the day. That's what you need to do, and that again will help mitigate those interviews. If I'm the IRCC agent and I see an application filled 90% with ChatGPT information, that's a red flag, right? Yeah, you might get an interview for that. That could definitely be a case. So yeah, don't use ChatGPT. Have the smarts to get your parents to use their own words to describe your relationship, and should be from the heart. You can help translate, you can help do those things, but yeah, like just don't do ChatGPT.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Now, just so you guys know, we do have guides for support letter, right? Like we do have guides. We do have a guide for chat, I believe. We
Yeah.
do have a guide. What else do you have?
We have
Chat
guides
letters.
for the shared expenses guide. So like how we like to see it, highlighting, literally like highlighting line items on bank statements and then redacting other
Yep.
line items that you don't want to see in account balance and account numbers. Yeah, and then yeah, support letter
Yep.
guidelines. We have the chats guidelines. We got a bunch of guides, different guides for
Yeah,
everything.
we're always trying to be super helpful during the process. So usually, if you ever book a consultation with Cory for specifically spousal sponsorship process, then Cory would always send you those just so you can see how it's supposed to be done, right? Because we
Exactly.
really find it so useful that people can see like literally what is expected by IRCC, and they can really come up with those documents and avoid any potential interviews. Um,
Exactly.
All right. Well, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll be posting much more useful videos on spousal sponsorship process. And like this video, and all the contact details you can find in the description if you ever want to contact us. Thank you for watching.